Okay, so what we'll do now is, the next step now is, we'll start drilling the Dyna bolt holes for these tubs. From here on in, make sure that you don't move the tubs anymore. So the tub's now gonna stay, that's where it's gonna be. So I might show you with the holes. There is 7 Dyna bolt holes that go on each side. There is 3 in the middle here where the actual sensor is. Make sure that we use the one in the middle here. You can use either of the two. You can use either of the two. The idea of that is if you drill the hole and you can feel that there is Rio or steel underneath, then you can use the other hole and you can still use it. So it doesn't matter which ones that you use. But there's 3 holes here, 2 in each corner. So there's 2 there, and then also 2 in each corner here. We use a 12 millimeter hammer drill. Please make sure when you do the drilling that it's nice and straight. All right. We also use a vacuum cleaner, obviously, to get rid of the dust straight away. Try to keep it always nice and clean. Now you do the same thing to all the Dyna bolt hills here. This one will be your next one. So now on the left-hand side tab, we call this the blind section. We will need to do a little bit of cutouts because there will be one bolt that needs to be free underneath. So this will be in the middle of the sensor. From the end of the tab, measure 50 millimeters in. This part here now has to be freed up. Make it a little bit bigger just to make sure that that is all done. Yep. You can show us how, Brad. It doesn't need much, it just needs to have the concrete taken out a little bit so that there is no interference. So now we can see that we just cleared out this area where the blind plate bolt, so it doesn't interfere with the testing. What we're going to show you here is where we do an installation with the cables being in the ground. So they are not a trip hazard, and you can put still a trolley jack between the 2 tubs. There is also a version where you can have the cables above ground. If you choose the above ground cable version, you don't have to do anything else to it. But for the in-ground one, we now need to mark where the cables come out. So we prefer you to mark the cable exit on each side of the tub. We measure 100 millimeter back. We want you to come 100 millimeters from the inside of the tub back. This will be the cable exit. And we'll mark the same over here. Now we are ready to take off the tubs. So now we've taken the tubs off. We've made a nice straight line, so we know where we have to do the cut for the concrete, for the cable, where the cable cut goes. And we've got the outlines of the tubs. The next step will be that we're actually going to cut the concrete chaser over to the nearest wall or wherever you decide where the main cable should come out. What we will be doing here is we'll cut it to our wall, and then the actual cabinet, control cabinet, will be placed here. So we're going to make sure that the cables are going to be in ground there, run along the wall, and then we come from the back inside the cabinet. You can also make the concrete cuts straight underneath the cabinet, if that is more suitable. We use a little Makita cutter, but any concrete cutting device is fine. You have to make the cut a minimum of 6 millimeter wide and 20 millimeters deep. Cut that we made, we clean it out, make sure there's nothing in it, so the cable sit in there nice and safely. So now that we've done the concrete cut, you can see it's a nice cut, 6 mil wide, 20 mil deep, approximately, minimum things. We're going to make sure that there is no concrete or anything left in the groove itself. That's why we're vacuum cleaning it out, and we're also going to run the little drills through it. And now we're just going to clean up this area, and then we are ready for the next step. In the electronic section you will find two of those main black cables. Now be careful, the ends of these cables are very, very sensitive. Okay, they are dust and waterproof, but they are sensitive. So we're going to make sure that no dust or anything can come in here. So I just use a little bit of our tape, put it around it, just to make sure that nothing can go in here whilst we're doing the rest of the installation, just like that. Now we'll do that for this cable here, and we're also going to do it for this cable here. Now you need to make sure that the female end, this end, has to stay underneath the tub. This end, the male end, will actually go to the control cabinet. The female end goes onto the ground. Okay. Now, you want to bring this cable, when we do the installation, this cable will need to go to this end of the tub. So you got to give it enough length to do so. Even if you give it a little bit more, it doesn't really matter. Okay? Here we go. And now we bring the cable out to the wall. You get a bit of tape and you tape me the cable in there. Carefully back up and leave them inside this square area. Okay, important, do not stand on the end of this cable, it will damage it.